Our first stopover was in Kuala Lumpur, and we stayed there for 2 nights. And this was sort of where the culture shock came in. I know it's not as much as if we went straight to Cambodia, but going there straight away and walking down the street to have dinner that night was just incredible. There was no space between you and the person next to you, and I do not know how cars drove down the streets. I don't really like Gold Coast roads, but roads over there I don't think you can even call roads. It's 4 lanes on a highway, but somehow 6 cars go across. While we were over there, we also visited the Part2 caves. They worship a lot of, I don't know what you call them, gods, but they have a lot of statues around, and they're mostly of, I guess you could call them monkey gods. And I don't know if there's any pictures of it. No? There's these massive statues, and a lot of them are painted gold, and there's actually a lot of structural work going on around them because they're all falling to bits. But a lot of them are painted gold, and everything's in really bright colours, which is really, really great to see because a lot of the statues over here are just concrete. But at the Part2 caves, I guess it's just a massive, massive lot of steps, and you go up, and inside it's just incredible. It smells a little bit, and there's monkeys around everywhere, but it really was incredible, and we got to learn a bit about the history of Kuala Lumpur and what happened over the years. There was some pretty amazing shopping too. The roller coaster that you can see on the photo on the right here it was a 9-story shopping centre with a theme park inside. It was just crazy. It was so big we couldn't actually find the theme park. We got lost in the shopping centre. And they had some pretty cool lollies and everything there too, as you can see. So that was the lift, the glass elevator that took you to the top. Felt like we were in Willy Wonka or something. Here's the statues from the Part2 caves and the whole group together. You can see over there, just there's the massive lot of steps that you go up, and then you go inside the caves and there are actually more steps inside. That was a bit tiring, but it was worth it when we got to the top. Those monkeys, I used to like monkeys before I left. They are just, they actually, yeah. The girl in the middle, she got attacked by one of them. It was kind of scary, but funny at the same time. We visited the Petronas Towers just before we left. We weren't able to go up to the top because we thought we could go in early that morning and book our tickets and we'd be alright, but you have to book a week in advance or something crazy. So we didn't actually get to go to the top, but we got to see it from the bottom, which was still really good. So from Kuala Lumpur we flew over to Phnom Penh, and our work hadn't really started yet, but we started to get more of a background of Cambodia and learn a bit about the Pol Pot regime, which was really, really quite touching, I guess. It's unbelievable the things that happened during not so long ago actually. I think it was 70s that most of the killing pretty much that it was happened, and it's really quite sad to think that such a horrible, horrible circumstance can happen and you don't really think of it, but it was pretty much in our lifetime. We visited the palace where we took a lot of pictures, I guess, there, and just got to see the amazing, the intricate artwork and everything there. That was pretty incredible. And the food was amazing and really, really cheap. This was one of the nicer restaurants. It was just on the water. You couldn't really, there was dancers and singers going around to all the tables, and the meals, I think, it was probably the more expensive restaurant. The meals were probably about $5 max, and it was really, really lovely and massive meals too. So from Phnom Penh we flew over to Siem Reap, and Siem Reap was where we spent most of our time. We stayed in one hotel for about 2 weeks, I think, and that's where we did most of the work. We rode our bikes to the school each day. But on the way to Siem Reap, we took the bus from Phnom Penh to Siem Reap. We got to try a little bit of the Cambodian delicacies, I guess you could call it. We had some tarantulas and crickets on the way. I did get a bit sick while we were over there, and I think it might have been because of that. I did only eat the leg of a tarantula, but couldn't bring myself to eat the body. When we got there, we went into the market as well and got to see how the locals lived and where they got all their produce and their goods from. And we're just walking down, looking at all the tourist things. And as you start to go deeper into the markets, it starts to become more localised, and you can see where they all get all their produce from. And out of nowhere, there were just fish on the ground everywhere, and we're stood on these fish, and they were just selling fish like that. Some of them were still moving. It was, I just cut it up and give it to you. So this was basically, we just went for a bit of a walk around, had a bike ride around around Siem Reap, and wherever you go, you just see children, parents even, they just don't have anything. This is just one of the kids sitting on the street here. She was one of the lucky ones, I guess. She had clothes. A lot of the kids didn't even have clothes. Yeah, so just to be in a place like that, really just, I mean, without even knowing much of the history already, just see how much we take for granted what we have here. And you know, we're all in the same world. It's not first world, second world, third world. There's only one world, and we're all in it together, and it's not that far away. And there's people living like this. You just don't, and it's not the worst either. There's countries that are far worse off than Cambodia, and just to see this, these kids living like this, and the parents, and everyone living in such circumstances is really quite horrible, and it makes you want to do something about it. So for the next 2 weeks, we then, the group split into two because we had about 40 people, so it was a really big group. We split into two. Someone took the morning shift and the next group took the afternoon shift. Each day we rode our bikes to the school. It was probably about a 25-minute bike ride each morning or afternoon. And when we got there, every morning they had their little assemblies, and they all sung what they called their New Hope song, and it was the We Are Australian song, but they changed it to New Hope. It was really, really quite cute. We'd all stand up the front, and they really, really did just love having people there. Every day you'd just have children hanging off you everywhere. These little kids, they're just so excited to see you and excited that you want to help them out. Sometimes there was a bit of a language barrier which made it hard, but I guess you don't really need words to communicate some of the things just by looking. You know what they're going through, I guess. So this was at the school as well. Just before they had their classes, waiting at the assembly. And the respect they have for their teachers, they're all standing in their lines, and this is the younger grade too, so even from such a young age, every morning you could go in and they would hold their hands up to the teacher and say their little thank yous and good mornings, and wait to be asked to sit down, and really, really respectful to everyone that came in, and even to us, the visitors. It was really nice just to see how respectful they were. Even though I guess they hadn't really had much education in the past. A lot of the children over there don't get educated, so for these children here, it was really quite a privilege to be at a school, and most of them, I think all of them, are sponsored by New Hope, which Brian mentioned before is the organisation that started the school, the medical centre, and the outreach program. So this is when we went into the classroom. We